Good morning. My name is Diane K. Gelder, and I serve as a trustee on your DuPage UU Church Board of Trustees. We want to welcome everyone this morning to our open and inclusive virtual community. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and meaning, and pledge to support one another as we explore these paths. We are so glad you were able to find us and join us for our live stream service today. Please check the church website at www.dupageuchurch.org for updates. If you search under DuPage UU Church on Facebook, you will find a number of ways to be in community with us as well. Today and each Sunday, join us for our Zoom social time following the service from 11:30 till 12. Socialize with friends old and new, and ponder a question from Reverend Connie as we break into small groups. We hope to see you there. The Zoom link can be found on the Members tab of our website, in the order of service, and in the weekly email. And we have one announcement this morning. Our 2020 virtual auction is fast approaching, November 4th through noon on November 7th. The auction committee is hopeful for another big success this year. We are certain you have many offerings, goods, events, and parties that others will love a lot. And we are certain that you will not be bashful in your bidding. Find all the information you need at dupageuchurch.org/2021 auction. The link is under Quick Links on the home page. Thanks a lot.
Come, gather, not into a common space, sharing a physical closeness we long for, precluded by wise choice. But come, gather into this common time and a common space. We need to be together. We yearn for connection. We hunger for the familiar faces of friends, the sound of shared voices proclaiming who we are, where we are going, that which resonates with our hopes, our dreams, our values. Come, gather. We are here in this space, made of all spaces, and we share our becoming in this moment.
Don't go out. Don't go out. No, don't go out. As we kindle this flame, may it spike in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition and to each other.
Please join us in singing hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Please join me for the spoken affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
It is time to gather. Our theme this month is cultivating relationship. And today our topic is about belonging. And my story today is about figuring out where a little boy and his pet belong. It is titled Strictly No Elephants by Lisa Manchev. The trouble with having a tiny elephant for a pet is that you never quite fit in. No one else has an elephant. And every day, I take my elephant for a walk. He doesn't like the cracks in the sidewalk much, and I always go back and help him over. That's what friends do, lift each other over the cracks. And today I'm walking my tiny elephant down the street to number 17. It is Pet Club Day, and everyone will be there. Come along, there's a good boy. And I coax him the last few feet. It'll be fine. And when I look up, there's a sign on the door. It says, "Strictly no elephants." My tiny elephant leads me back to the sidewalk, never minding the cracks. That's what friends do, brave the scary things for you. It starts to rain, and we keep on walking. And we pass a little girl sitting on a bench. "Did you try to go to the pet club meeting too?" the girl asks. "Yes," I say, "but they don't allow elephants." "The sign didn't mention skunks," the girl says, "but they don't want us to play with them either." "They don't know any better," I tell her. "He doesn't stink," the girl adds. "No, he doesn't," I agree. "What if we start our own club?" And we start walking to the park. "Come along," I say, making certain that my tiny elephant follows me, because that's what friends do. They never leave anyone behind. And as we walk toward the park, more and more kids and their pets start walking with us. More and more and more. "We can play here," one of our new friends says. "All of us." The tiny elephant and the skunk and the bat and the armadillo and the narwhal in our bowl, all of us. So we paint our own sign over the door of our new clubhouse. It says, "All are welcome." And we fix it up so everybody can play together. And you can find us in the park if you'd like to join us. My tiny elephant will give you directions if you need them, because that's what friends do.
Please join us for our song affirmation. Ours be the poems of all tongues, all things of loveliness and worth, all arts, all ages, and all songs, one life, one beauty on the earth.
We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. A memorial service for Ben Calvin, husband of Lynn and longtime member of this congregation, will be held on Saturday, October 16th at 4 p.m. The service will be live streamed on YouTube at that time, and the link will be emailed to congregants this week. We remember those who are experiencing losses of various kinds and those facing health challenges. We are aware that many are faced with heightened difficulties presented by these times that continue to be challenging for all. Even when the cares of the world weigh on us, may we find joy in our connections with each other and in the pleasures that life holds. Let us care for one another and for ourselves in all the ways we can. As we hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows, whether spoken or unspoken, Let's take a moment to be quiet together. These words by Hope Johnson. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one. Working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing. Getting to know each other. Taking risks. Opening up. Questioning, seeking, searching. Trying to understand. Struggling. Making mistakes. Paying attention. Asking questions. Listening. Living our answers. Learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves. Apologizing and forgiving with humility. Being forgiven through grace. Creating the beloved community together. We are one.
Please join us in singing hymn number 300 with heart and mind.
Each month, we share our offerings with an organization nominated by the congregation and selected by our community outreach team. Our special collection recipient for October is the West Suburban Community Pantry, and we'll see a video in a moment highlighting the organization's work. Donations to support the work of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church are gratefully given and received.
As COVID-19 persists and the need for food grows, West Suburban Community Pantry continues to fulfill the mission to give individuals, children, and seniors in need access to healthy food conveniently, discreetly, and with respect.
We know that 70% of people in need might not come forward to a food pantry, and there's lots of reasons for that. It might be time in their day, transportation to get to the pantry, or even their own pride. So we've really been on a mission to break down those barriers, and we've intentionally created ways to meet them where they are and also to serve them with dignity.
The Access 2020 initiative now underway gives clients the choice of foods while ordering their groceries privately and conveniently online. Added online order pickup sites throughout our service area and the redesign of our facilities enhance both the online and the in-pantry shopping experience for our clients.
Our fundraising campaign to complete this work was well underway when the pandemic hit. Immediately, we needed to shift our focus to get more food and resources into the hands of people in need. But we're so glad we planned ahead, because now we will have the extra capacity we need to keep up with demand.
A redesigned warehouse space allows for greater food capacity. A dedicated donation receiving area and order fulfillment space allows us to receive and distribute online orders on and off-site. From the moment they walk in the door, our clients will be greeted in a bright, welcoming lobby and will be assured that the registration process will occur in privacy and comfort.
We are deeply committed to the dignity and privacy that we can provide for our clients. So we created private intake offices so that each client can talk about what they need in a way that they feel comfortable, even if their needs go beyond food.
The pantry staff offices and conference room have been moved to maximize the remodeled warehouse space. The conference room provides more space for nutrition classes, social service support presentations, board meetings, and volunteer training. Our volunteers and staff can enjoy a redesigned area for them to check in, store personal belongings, take breaks, and meet together in comfort. The pantry store has been designed to allow clients to shop the aisles and choose their own groceries in a clean and bright store-like setting. Glass cases display fresh produce, eggs, and milk.
When COVID-19 hit, our plans to renovate the pantry store had to be put on hold. We immediately started using that space to pack the hundreds of boxes a day that were required to feed the community. But now, as we look to close the gap in our fundraising campaign, we can complete the Access 2020 project.
Access 2020 will allow our neighbors in need to get the groceries they need conveniently, easily, and discreetly. We can increase access, choice, and dignity for thousands of individuals, children, and seniors. They'll have access to a wide variety of healthy choices, along with nutrition and food preparation classes and a network of social service supports. Thank you for helping us close the gap and feed the need.
When he became a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, California, the process theologian Bernard Loomer wrote this: "Church is for enabling us to seek and to find some ultimate source of value and meaning. Our trust in this source outruns our knowledge. This reality is to be worshiped for its own sake, because it is worthy of our trust. In this relationship of trust and worship, the church is a reminder that we live in terms of a covenant and not in terms of a contract. Church is a living testimony that we live in the context of a mystery that far transcends our reason. We are born in mystery, we sense the impenetrable depth of the mystery, and we die in mystery. Church is for seeking, as well as for speaking, the truth in love. Church is for the enlargement of the Spirit and the greater freedom of self. Freedom is not an end in itself. It exists in order to enrich our communal life. Church is for encouraging us to actualize our most creative possibilities. It is also the critic of our limitations and our pretensions. Church is for understanding and for being understood. Church is for confession, for repentance, and for the compassion of forgiveness. Church is for reminding us that we are all members of the web of life, that no one is an island, and that no person is an individual outside of the context of this web. The web includes more than the present, it includes the past. Church is an important agency by which great traditions become living presences within the community. Church is the communal celebration of our elemental joys and sorrows, of our gains and losses, of great meanings. The church is for taking these elemental qualities and values of everyday life and weaving them into the very liturgy of the community.
When I was about 12 years old, I decided I was a Unitarian Universalist. I decided on theological grounds. The Unitarian idea of one God at most made a lot more sense to me than the Trinity, and the Universalist idea of salvation for all made a lot more sense to me than the idea that some people were going to hell no matter what they did. When I was 12, my decision to be a Unitarian Universalist was a purely rational one. Some years later, when my son Kevin, then age 6, was beginning to ask his own theological questions, I was ready to find a Unitarian Universalist congregation to join. There were 3 Unitarian Universalist churches within reasonable driving distance from where we lived in suburban Chicago, and Kevin and I visited all 3. On the way home, Kevin would tell me something he learned in class that day, and I'd tell Kevin something I learned in the sanctuary. At the first one we visited, the sermon was interesting, and Kevin enjoyed his Sunday school class. But when I visited the information table after the service, as I stood in line, I heard the greeter say to the person in front of me, "If you haven't been to college, you probably won't feel at home here." I had been to college. I'd even been to college in that particular town. But whether or not those unwelcoming words were true, the message for me at the time, as a person who was looking for a church to belong to, was that my son and I needed to continue our search. Many years later, when I returned to that congregation and stayed for 9 years to serve as a minister, I found that they were truly more welcoming to all, trying hard to explicitly and implicitly welcome those who come through their doors, and to invite those who might wish to come through their doors if only they knew those doors existed. And I've told this story to that congregation. At that time, my son Kevin and I continued our search. Together, we agreed on the church where it felt most like we could belong, and we began attending regularly. I wasn't sure whether I liked the minister all that much, and I didn't think I fit theologically with the majority of the congregation, since I considered myself an agnostic, and the congregation seemed to have a theistic bent. Yet that church felt like a good place to be and to belong. On Sunday mornings, I felt both challenged and comforted, and even more critical for me, I found ways to be of use. After a few months, I was ready to join. For me, the decision to become a member of that Unitarian Universalist congregation was an emotional decision that complemented the intellectual decision I had made much earlier. If you have joined this or another congregation, or if you are considering joining, your story may have some things in common with mine, or it may be very different from mine. A focus group at a large and thriving Unitarian Universalist congregation found several primary reasons why people stay with their congregation: to be connected to a worshiping community, to feel spiritually grounded, to have the opportunity to do social justice work in a structured way, for religious growth and learning, to bring their dreams to life, and to share both information and skills with others. Belonging is a fundamental human need. We human beings need a haven as well as a fueling station and a launching pad. According to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the need to belong ranks right after needs like breathing and eating and personal safety as the foundational prerequisites for such needs as achievement and creativity. We have a need, a fundamental human need, to be known and accepted for who we are. The Christian theologian Paul Tillich writes about human separation from the ground of being, our estrangement from something to which we really belong and with which we should be united. Tillich defines the theological term grace as the reunion of life with life, the reconciliation of the self with itself. And he describes the experience of grace as knowing that you are accepted. In these terms, grace is knowing that you are accepted for who you are as you are. It is knowing that you belong. Tillich writes, in the light of this grace, we perceive the power of grace in our relation to others and to ourselves. We experience the grace of being able to look frankly into the eyes of another, the miraculous grace of reunion of life with life. We experience the grace of understanding each other's words. We understand not merely the literal meaning of the words, but also that which lies behind them, even when they are harsh or angry. For even then, there is a longing to break through the walls of separation. We experience the grace of being able to accept the life of another, for through grace, we know that it belongs to the same ground to which we belong and by which we have been accepted. And there ends my quotation of Tillich. And so I wonder whether belonging to a religious community can be an experience of grace, an experience of being accepted and embraced for who we are, as we are, even as we challenge ourselves and each other to be our best selves. I wonder whether we human beings, members of this religious community, can be agents of the grace of acceptance and belonging. On a more prosaic level, the word membership is sometimes used to describe those who donate to National Public Radio or who hold American Express cards. Membership in a religious community is, in fact, different. To belong to a Unitarian Universalist religious community is to belong to a covenanted relationship. To become a member of a Unitarian Universalist congregation is to explicitly or implicitly become part of a covenant with others who agree to travel together in common purpose. Unlike a contract, a covenant is open-ended and flexible. A covenant is an agreement to be in relationship. And the nature of covenant is that the terms are adaptable to the realities of the relationship. The operative words in such a covenant are often, we unite or we associate. Some congregations recite a covenant every Sunday morning, and a new member implicitly signs on to that covenant when they join. But covenant of a congregation isn't just about words, it's about the relationship those words represent. Expectations of membership include support and participation in the life of the congregation. According to a report on the meaning of membership by the Commission on Appraisal of the Unitarian Universalist Association, if we understand the congregation to be an organic entity, every new person who participates actively in the life of the congregation changes the dynamic and, in effect, causes the covenant to be rewritten. Members of a religious community belong to each other and to something larger than themselves alone. In a religious community, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. To be a member of a religious community is to be one of the parts of the whole. To take grammatic liberties, to be a member of a religious community is to be one of the parts which, summed up, the whole is greater than. In such a community, people gather together to be more and do more than they could be and do individually, in order to live in the best way they can and to do their part to make the world a better place. Without its members, DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church does not exist. Unlike National Public Radio, this congregation, this covenanted community, literally is its members. The Reverend Kim Beach asserts that people do not join a covenanted community. Rather, they constitute it. There is no it without them. And each time new folks join, the whole is literally reconstituted. Although the word reconstituted makes me think of frozen orange juice or maybe powdered milk, I really like the idea of the congregation being remade, the covenant being renewed each time a new member joins. In this view, the covenant, like the religious community itself, is dynamic and ever-changing. When people join the church, the status quo of the congregation shifts ever so slightly. Those folks who join the congregation bring their gifts and needs, their questions and responses, and by their very presence, as covenanted members, the congregation is reconstituted. In the process, all are changed, individually and collectively. Some years ago, when I was meeting with a membership orientation group at a congregation in California, among the participants were a young couple with 2 small children. The husband had grown up active in a Catholic church, which was no longer a fit for him theologically, and the wife had no previous experience with the religious community. They had been regularly attending the Unitarian Universalist Society for several months, and both had pitched in a major way to help put on a fundraising dinner at the church. As the group talked about the meaning of membership, the wife turned to her husband and said, well, you know, if I can come to church whenever I want, contribute what I can, and help out where I'm needed, what is the point of becoming a member? And the husband replied, lightly thumping his fist to his chest, I feel it in my heart. Do you feel it in your heart? Our closing hymn is number 318, We Would Be One.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all the new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
We extinguish the chalice flame and we carry its light in our hearts. May we live our lives fully and creatively so that we may be a blessing to ourselves, to each other, and to all those whose lives we touch.
We